Hello, it's Jebro. Guess what happened? Something we have never thought would ever happen in Guild Wars 2. PvP. I will talk about that in a bit, but the main topic of discussion for this video is going to be support and its future and what the latest balance patch in PvP has brought us. This looks like it's not a major patch, but is around about the time we might have been expecting a bigger patch in PvP. And also the fact that it's brought some considerable changes in, which I think are really, really important and good. But also some ballsy moves by the good old CMC, or Cal Cohen, who is one of the competitive designers for ArenaNet on Guild Wars 2. There's some big things. First of all, don't forget to go onto Patreon, where build videos mostly, get released a couple of days earlier. This video is going straight up onto YouTube because it's big news. And you can help support the channel if you just enjoy, this kind of content early. Builds mostly, as well as some other bits and bobs that come out, as well as getting an update video on behind the scenes on my Twitch channel and content creation every month. There's even just the $5 tier or $1 tier, anything you fancy donating, and massively helps the channel. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. You just being here, pressing that like and subscribing and watching the video is very, very awesome in itself. Also, I do stream on twitch.tv/JebroUni, Guild Wars 2, as well as a ton of other stuff as well. Okay, so what is the deal? Okay, what is the deal? Well, this is on the, God, what was the date with this video? Not video, post, 23rd of March, which is today. Oh God, it was today. There's a handful of changes as they describe in the balance post. I might not be up, it might not be on the screen the whole time, but basically, Condition Guardian is getting a bit of a nerf. Now, I've got my Support Guardian on right now, but the Condition Guardian, the Core and Dragon Hunter builds mostly, of course, where things like Permeating Wrath, Eternal Armory traits have been, the duration of burning and whatnot. It's the burn builds, boys and girls. The burn builds are being a little nerfed. They're a little bit too harsh. They're still going to be great, but they were just too powerful. They're a little bit OP. Okay. Sword of Justice is also, reduced ammunition count from 3 to 2, which is good as well. So all of these traits very, very important to be taken down, as well as Minion Necromancer, which was pretty strong. And they, ever since like turret builds were back in the day, which I made famous, I'm sorry about that. Big knockback engineer build was very popular back in the day. Still got a video with that, 30k views or something like that, crazy. Basically, they've nerfed the Minion Necromancer as well, because obviously, if you haven't got the burn damage coming out from the Burn Guardian to deal with it, then that thing is going to be alive and well on the side nodes and in team fights and whatnot as well. So, not massively used in the high-end competitive play as far as I could tell, but still, it was carrying people probably higher than they probably should be, because, they're relying on the AI of the game. Anyway. The big one here is the Core Support Guardian build, which I actually made a video on and was playing before. I believe we saw it in an NA monthly a couple of months ago. Blackjack was playing it, and I'd already been starting to play it as well, and saw the potential in it once again for being a really consistent, good support. Wasn't running the Signet, of course, which is right here, Signet of Mercy, but everything else pretty much the same. They've done some things. Stand your ground now. The cooldown has gone from 45 seconds up to 60. Now, obviously that is the base. You can see it's 48 seconds on my screen. That is because obviously I've got traits and everything that's brought it down, but it would have been lower than that. Pure of Heart, which is one of the traits. Let's go and have a look. Which is here. Aegis heals when it blocks an attack. Reduce the healing scaling from 0.3 to 0.15. So they've cut it in half, which is thing. And then Virtue of Resolve as well. They've reduced the heal scaling from 1.4 to 1.0. So almost about a third there as well. So that's, where is that one? Good Lord. Messy. It's there. It's big. It's a big change. Trust me. Trust me indeed. What am I talking about? It's here. Virtual Resolve. Blimey hell. The second virtue. Oh, there's been a bit of a dingbat there. I'm sorry. Anyway, ignore that. Fourth thing. They've changed Shield of Judgment, which is really weird. Reduction protection duration from 4 seconds to 2 seconds in PvP. 4 seconds of protection, I guess, was quite a lot, especially if it's for the whole team. I guess I can kind of understand that. At least they haven't increased the charge of the skill. I mean, that probably would have been a bit better. Just seems like, you know, that's quite a big thing to take away, really. But hey ho, that's the thing. It is a bit buffed, obviously. 2.25 seconds there of protection as well. So that's not going to destroy the core bunker Guardian build at the moment in the way it is. Obviously they've nerfed like Warrior Shout build a while ago, and then they wanted to kind of nerf this as well to bring it back into place with the Warrior. So there's the double option there, because people were still saying a bit ago as well that Warrior Shout was better, but it really wasn't. It wasn't using, like, it's still really, really strong, obviously, but like Guardian, slowly but surely people started to think, all right, okay, yeah, this is stronger for various reasons. Obviously the resin potential, obviously the healing and support potential, you know, the protection, everything else that comes with stun breaks, everything that comes around with that, and the shouts and everything else. And it's just such a strong build. You can see why if you go and check out my Guardian support build video. It really crept up, and not many people picked up on it, other than maybe me. I'm gonna toot my own horn here, okay? I did. You can go back and watch gameplay of me playing it just before, like month maybe before, like people started playing that in competitive again, because I was probably the only one who was playing it. No bullshit. This is one of the first times I'm going to toot my horn on stream, on YouTube, sorry. What else? They've done some stuff with obviously Revenants, because obviously now we're seeing like 2 or 3 Revenants in those competitive teams in the AT tournaments, as well as my T-Pots tournament as of late. Oh no, they can't actually stack the classes like that, so less so in my T-Pots tournament, sorry. But in the ATs you can. And a lot of people in ranks and whatnot playing Revenant as well. So they've taken those, they've shaved a little bit down on all of the, well, on the entire Revenant, Shiro, Renegade, as well as the Power Herald. And the big thing, I'm not going to talk about those in depth, but they've done a little bit of nerfing. They've brought it down, you know. It doesn't look like they've put you to the point where it's unplayable, which is what they've been responsible for doing in the past, but they put it into a place where hopefully it's still going to be playable and useful, but not to the point where we're going to see 2 or 3 in a team. I don't play Revenant, and I need to go and watch some gameplay of this potentially being the case, but as of today, that is my assumption of what they wanted to try and achieve. The big thing is here, and this is a big thing indeed. They're talking about looking ahead, and I'm going to read it, and you can tell me what you think. And maybe, you know, Jebro, it's going to be fine. But listen. And it could be, and this could be a good, really good thing, and there's things to think about. Okay, let's see what they say. Looking ahead, the thing most notably missing from today's update is Scourge. Yes, I've got a Scourge update video literally just come out as well on it being a tank and why it's so strong, and the potential for it just being, you know, bloody awesome in your team composition. When today's changes were finally being internalized and being, you know, they go through and they finalize all the things, Bender's Scourge was starting to show some strong results in automated tournaments. But it wasn't too widely played yet. There was some consideration to whether it warranted early adjustments, but we usually like to gather more data, including reviewing future win rate statistics and observing gameplay before acting. Ultimately, we decided against rushing anything in for today, so they haven't brought changes in for Scourge. So right now, Scourge is even stronger than it was is now a stronger support than it was before. It's still not got what a Guardian has, but it has res potential. It has the potential, you know, to confirm boons and conditions. It's got lots of corrupts. It's got, you know, the revive is great. The barrier is great. There's a lot it can do. It can do condition removal and stuff like that as well. There's big things. Ultimately decided against rushing it in today. Given what we've seen since then, it's something that we want to address sooner rather than later. And we're currently looking into some adjustments for the next release. Now, my big thing here is this next section. And we can talk about like the previous bit after we talked about this, because they are starting to nerf support builds whilst also thinking about doing this. Something else that we've been evaluating is the state of Mender's Amulet. Now, if you don't know what Mender's Amulet is the support amulet that is played at the moment in the game. So if you go to amulets and you go to category, power, precision, obviously it doesn't even have healing anymore because there is nothing really with healing other than like 2. Oh, good lord, that's funny. But Mender's Amulet, so if you have a look at the stat on Mender's Amulet, power, precision, vitality, healing power is 1000. The general pace of the game right now is slower than we'd like to see. And this is because obviously many people, not just support, take Menders, things like, you know, Scrappers, for example, and Druids and stuff like that, and Scourge, obviously. The healing stat is the thing that's giving barrier, is, you know, healing power goes towards your barrier and how much you put out to yourself and allies. Mender plays a big part in this, both through the strength of the bulkier support builds that have been played, seen meta play recently, both Spellbreaker and now Core Guardian compared to previous metas with Tempest, as well as the more sustain-oriented side node builds, which is what I'm talking about, that tend to stalemate fights. The other main component of combat pacing is the amount of damage available. Looking back at something like pre-nerf Grenade Holosmith, for all the problems it had, it was very good at pushing damage. Yes, exactly. So you could kill bunkers support classes. Wary of bringing damage back up to that level, and want to start with some adjustments to sustain before re-evaluating damage. This is the big one. To that end, we're looking at removing Menders and Marshall. Marshall also has healing power and condition damage, as well as Menders. And adding an improved version of Sigil of Transference, increased outgoing healing. An improved version of a Sigil. That makes me laugh. To make up for the healing loss for support builds. This would also include a few adjustments for healing sources that are mostly heavily impacted by this shift. Notable among those are Selfless Daring and Elemental Bastion, as well as Call of Valor, which does not benefit from transference. Exactly. Overall, some sources would heal allies for a bit more and would heal for a bit less than they do with Menders, but the self-healing of support builds would be lower. Side node builds that currently play Mender would be pushed into Avatar Amulets, hopefully resulting in fewer stalemates and increased kill potential. So if we have a look at Avatar Amulets, for example, now it's not removing them completely, it's removing the big heal power. So what we had before was, I think we had Clerics or something, which was 1200 healing. You will see the healing power go over to like, this is what a healing build will be. Potentially. Anything with like little healing, but still more damage. So it's going to be more like, you might see these more hybrid builds being the support builds. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but it's interesting. They're talking about the Avatar being like a side noder kind of amulet, but this is going to be a healers. This is going to be a healers flipping amulet at this rate. We still want dedicated support builds to be a viable choice, and we'd be keeping a close eye on the impact of these changes going forward, but we think that given the current state of the game, Mender creates more problems than it solves, and it's worth looking at. That's all for today. Thanks for reading. That's the systems team, that's what they're called now. So, is this good? Is this bad? What does this mean? What amulets are there in the game right now they give you healing. Well, let's go through them. We've got Avatar. Marshall, that's going. Mender, that's going. Looks like. Oh, Sage. Free. So we got Sage Amulet right there. Healing power. That's condition damage heavy with vitality and power. Then you've got Avatar. That's power, precision, vitality. So you've got power, and so they're gonna have to be some, like, there's gonna be some damage mixed in with maybe some support builds as well. Maybe, you never know. And obviously Marshalls and Menders is going. But is this good? Is this bad? Now, I have varying feelings on this, to be honest. I shoutcasted this game. Obviously there's these big tournaments that are going on right now with Mighty Teapot and the crew that do that, and I'm not involved in that, and that's fine. But I've got the most experience in casting this game. Whether or not you like what I do or not, it doesn't matter. Because I've got the experience and I've got, the knowledge, and I remember all the metas and I remember all the ways that we had to cast this game to make it look exciting. That's why I was a caster, because I wasn't all about the technical stuff. I was about hyping up and making people look at the game in a way where they could get excited about it. That's why I did what I did. Tanky support builds that wouldn't die didn't bring a massive amount of excitement, but they were important parts of the game to facilitate a story of support and healing and reviving allies and being able to, hold and carry fights at times, because a carry in this game is not always just the damage, it's the support as well, and that's something that I really enjoyed casting myself. I enjoy playing support classes. I like supporting my teammates, I'm a trainee mental health counselor, who knew? But like, I feel like this could be really good in terms of pace for the game. I agree with what they're saying. They in terms of the game and like the side node fights and stuff, these fights are going to end a lot quicker, and rotations are going to be even more important than they are right now. Rotations are obviously the main key point of the game, but like in some games, if you kill at the moment, like if you kill a bunker, you can snowball the game in your favor so hard that it takes so long to kill that bunker again. If you're on a mid fight or you're trying to get that second node, that the game's almost over. Like even just one fight can finish the whole game. It's pretty ridiculous. That has happened recently as well in monthly ATs, but like having these fights end quickly is cool, is good, but at the same time, will support builds be viable? Will 500 healing be okay versus the balance that they've had in the past year or so, where damage is king and damage is ridiculous? Like that Hollow-Smith grenade build was ridiculous damage wise, just like one. And it's still ridiculous. You can still get 10, 12k like crits on like a grenade barrage. The condition core guardian and the condition dragon hunter and the revenants at the moment running wild in PvP with their damage as well. It's like, if you take these support builds out, like that's the buffer that helped to support against these builds, which were crazy OP and were not adjusted for a long time. Like that Hollow-Smith build was not adjusted for or looked at for maybe a year. I think maybe it was a long time. Okay, not everyone was using it. Didn't really get there to that point of using it anyway for a long time. But it's the point is that as long as the balance is consistent and happens regularly, then it's going to be okay. They can look at that build and they can say, oh, maybe we'll make an adjustment to some of these stats and we'll bring healing back up to like maybe like 750 instead of 500, like on the Avatar's amulet. Unless I'm missing something here and I've missed out an amulet, I'm pretty sure I haven't. It's going to be important that they keep their eye on the balance, because otherwise, damage wise, you're just going to see 5 people rolling in with the same class because there's going to be no in between anymore. This is going to be damage and that's going to be it. There are tanky amulets here. There's some healing power with some vitality, of course, but other than that, I mean, what else have we got? It's these big power, vitality, and ferocity amulets as well with Valkyrie, or it's like some toughness maybe with Rabid amulet, where that's probably going to be one of the tankiest things, and Paladin as well, like 400 toughness, like is going to be a tankier amulet. It's like Rabid is 900. You might see some more of that. You might see people going into these more tanky kind of Paladins or Rabids or things like that, you know, where it might be a little bit tankier and they're thinking about even more of their own support rather than supporting their teammates, which I worry does focus more on the individual gameplay of people a lot more rather than thinking about building a team composition of support, side noder, etc., where, you know, that support role might get removed completely, and that's the concern I have. Whereas they've stated their concern is that they want to have a support build in everyone's class, everyone's team, or support being a viable option. I hope that still is the case, because I think that's an important part of a team composition in any PvP game, in all honesty. Even if it's just, you know, buffing the team. And that could be something that changes with, of course, you know, the next expansion, which is coming this year. Obviously, they might be thinking, we're bringing in this class, these elite specs, which, you know, are going to have elements of support, which might be useful in PvP, which buff damage, as well as, you know, giving more toughness or giving, you know, some kind of extra barrier to the team or other ways to buff your team where you can survive more. And if that's something that's coming in maybe in the future, maybe this is a thought behind that as well. So we just don't know. Overall, really, these are kind of late night thoughts that I'm having, and thoughts and feelings. And I'm just wondering what you are thinking as a viewer, because I don't want to rabbit on too much because it's already been 20 minutes. What do you think about the nerfs to the Guardian so far? I mean, we should have really seen the Scourge buff nerfs coming in, but if we did get those, these wouldn't have come as early as they did. And when I say early, I'm saying that in the kindest way possible, because this game is still balanced not enough. It's not balanced. It's too infrequent that this game is balanced in terms, especially in PvP. This is where the content comes from. This is PvP content, and this should be done more often. It always should have been done more often since the day the game was bloody well made. But that's just the way it is, and I've gotten used to it. I'm just going to get that out there and done and dusted with that comment. Otherwise, hopefully, these are positive changes. I'm all up for more damage. I'm all up for fights being over more quickly. I'm all up for, you know, more chances in the game for these pinnacle moments to happen where, you know, there can be a switch in who is winning in terms of, you know, lead or caps or whatever, teams to come back, because the game is a bit slower at the moment. And whereas I may enjoy that at times because I'm an old man, I don't think that is probably the healthiest way for the game. I mean, obviously the least healthiest way the game was balanced was back in the Pro League Season 1, where we had Chronomancer being king, and it was like literally the most boring stuff I've ever watched, and having to try and cast and entertain that was probably the biggest casting challenge I've ever had to do in my life, and I hope thankfully we'll probably never have to do that again, but we shall see. Otherwise, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Take care. I hope you enjoyed this. If you enjoyed my random ramblings and thoughts, then let me know in the comments below. I'd really appreciate some feedback if you want some more just ideas and thoughts of what I'm thinking about in terms of PvP. Sure, okay, I'm not these guys who are like, you know, the top end of gameplay, but I do know what I'm talking about at times. I've been casting this game a long time as well, and I think I've at times do start playing things which people do start to pick up on as these metas kind of start to appear as well. And I think I've got a lot of knowledge about builds, which I don't think, you know, I maybe give myself enough credit for. But anyway, I will see you a lot later. Take care, enjoy, and don't fear. Hopefully support will still be here. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I will see you next time.